Well, here we are. We are on our way on our first tour, and we are going to go see a very good treasure here in Chanhassen. It is the home where I grew up, and it is located on what used to be called Wendy Hill, but it's not called that anymore. I apologize for my voice. Oh, what's going on here? Usually when I come up the street, there are people lined, waiting to greet me. No one is here. What's going on? But I apologize for my voice. I'm suffering from allergies right now, so please bear with me. As we pull up to my childhood home, I'll tell you a little bit about it. It was established in 1975. There it is in all of its glory. It was established in 1975 by Robert Eugene and Patricia Ann Cavens. It was designed for practicality, social engagement, and recreational enjoyment. Now, just beyond the house, there is a pool in the backyard, and I would take you there, except that would be called what we call in America trespassing. And I really don't feel like having someone fill out paperwork today. So I won't take you back there. But if you look up at the top, on the top level there, the two right windows, I'm going to put this in park. The windows on the right, the two right windows, that would have been my bedroom. And many nights I would go up there and I would just close the door and I would turn off all the lights. And I would put on music and I would stand in front of my window and I would pretend that there were thousands of people who had come to listen to me sing. And then it would end when my dad would knock on my door and he would say, "Leslie, it's time to go to bed." So then I would go to bed and the concert would be over. Every Sunday, my mother would make a pot roast in this house, and she would brown it on one side, and then she would walk away from it and she would go maybe gardening, or she would take a nap or talk on the phone, and the smoke alarm would go off, alerting us that there was a problem, that there was a fire about to start. And she would end up throwing away the pot roast every Sunday, and we instead would have toast covered in baked beans, cheese and bacon under the broiler. And my sister liked to call that shit on a shingle. So we had that quite a bit in this house. Not many pot roasts in this house, but she did attempt it. God love her. Another note, my mother, we discovered when we were young that she had an addiction to Hostess Twinkies. And she would hide the Twinkies around the house. And I remember once I was in the bathroom and I opened up one of the drawers and I discovered a Hostess Twinkie in the back of the drawer. And that kind of explained why I would hear the sound of cellophane wrappers quite a bit in this house. I confronted her about it, and she admitted that she did have a problem with it, and she got help for it. It took a couple months, but she endured, and finally she gave way and ended her addiction. So just to the left here, there's a red house. Now, this home was occupied. You can't really see it. Well, just imagine it. This home was occupied by a couple, and they had a baby. And they were a young couple, and the husband used to mow the grass wearing nothing but a Speedo. And it made my mother sick. So sometimes she would gag as she was watching him mow the grass. It was very disturbing to her, and we were quite worried that she might hurl American style. Another thing about this home, we were in the pool one night, me and a bunch of friends, and we were frolicking about in the pool, and we heard some music coming from this house one night, and we identified it as Nazi music. And a few days later, we went over the fence when they were gone, and we looked in their basement, and he had a treasure trove of Nazi memorabilia in the basement, and it made my mother very nervous, so we weren't allowed to interact with them anymore. What else can I tell you about this house? So this home, like I said, was built in 1975. It has 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. In the basement there was a living room where we would play and watch TV, and then there was another room that was built to look like a bar or a tavern or a pub, and it had a dartboard, it had a pool table, and it had an actual bar in it. So when we were children, we would play pool, and then we would run outside, jump in the pool, come back in, play pool on the pool table some more, and we would do that for hours. The house to the right, let me see if I can just pull up here a little bit. I'll show you the house on the right. So this house on the right, I'm shaking. The house on the right here, this was the home of my best friend growing up. Her name was Lori Spade. So this is the home of my friend Lori Spade, and she doesn't live there anymore. But when we were growing up, her stepdad had an office in the home, and it looked oddly like what you would imagine a psychiatrist's office would look like. So we spent hours playing psychiatrist in this home, and it would start out with, we would trade roles, and if I was the psychiatrist, I would say, "So what brings you in here today? What seems to be the problem?" And Lori might say, "Oh, I'm not sure I did well on that math test." And we would discuss our problems, and then we would decide how best to resolve the issue. And it usually involved having a Coke, sharing a Coca-Cola in the kitchen, and that is how we would solve our problems. Now, if you look back at the house, you see that door on the right. That would make my mom crazy if she saw that. It's been like that, no kidding, for 20 years. One more thing about this home before we go. I'm sorry that the tour is in 2 parts, but something happened to the camera. This used to be the highest home in all of Carver County when we moved here. It was the tallest home in the county, and it's not anymore. I can tell you that. There are much higher homes than this one. But another thing, oh yeah, I'll tell you about this. We used to get a lot of celebrities that visited here, and it was always on October 31st. And I remember one year, early 80s, Princess Diana came, and she knocked on our door, and she said, "Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat." And I gave her a full-size Snicker bar. And then a couple days later, I was talking to some other people on the street, and I said, "Princess Diana came." I said, "She's much shorter and younger than you would imagine." And they told me who it was, and it turned out it was a 7-year-old girl. And I was quite jaded after that. So the next year, when the children came to our door, I would just open the door, and I would grab whatever I had available, an Almond Joy, a Butterfinger, maybe a Starburst packet, and I would open the door and I would just fling the candy at them. I would say, "Go on, you liars. Go on your way. Let us be." So, but anyway, that is the tour of my childhood home. I hope that you enjoyed it. The next tour we are going on is going to be one of the great pyramids. There's more than one pyramid here in Chanhassen. So we're going to go on a tour of a great pyramid. So stay tuned for that. Okay? Until then, yeah, I will see you around.